Hey cultivator, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the very last question interviewers usually ask you in the interview, which is, do you have any questions for me? Now, I know that this question is close-ended, meaning it's a yes or a no answer. However, the answer should always be yes. I do have more questions for you, because when the answer is no, it makes you seem like you're a know-it-all, which I know is not the intention here, and it makes you sound like you're disengaged from the interview process. Because here's the truth of the matter is, as much as they're interviewing you to see if you're the right fit, you should be interviewing the company. I don't care if you think like, oh my god, I need this job, I want this job. You should be interviewing the company to make sure it's the right fit for you. No matter what, you should always have 2 to 3 questions prepared in your back pocket for each of the interviewers you're meeting with. The types of questions you ask are going to be varied depending on if you're interviewing with the recruiter or HR person versus the hiring manager versus a coworker or colleague. In the description box down below, there's an access link to my free resource library. Be sure to check that out because I have a list of like 20 plus questions, again, broken down by who you're asking, and that could serve as a really great resource. In this video today, though, I want to break down why these questions would vary amongst the different people that you're interviewing with, and also provide you some examples of what these questions might sound like. Without further ado, let's dive in. All right, let's start off with questions for the recruiter or HR person. So the recruiter or HR person is going to have an understanding of the company as a whole, as well as the department and the culture. So the questions that you can ask are really based on those 3 things. You can ask about the company history, you can ask about the culture. You just want to make sure that you're not asking things that are easily identifiable from the website. You don't want to make this seem like you haven't done research. If you are going to elaborate on something that you have done research about, but you need more clarification, always offer what you already know about the company as you ask that. So an example of this might sound like, from my research, I noticed that your company really values and fosters teamwork and collaboration. I'm curious if you can tell me about the last company retreat that you guys had. As you can see, you're really impressing your interviewer by demonstrating you've done some research, and you're also asking them for specific clarification around something you want to know more about that you just couldn't find on the website itself. Another really great question to ask a recruiter or HR person is, I noticed that previous to this, you came from Disney. Can you share why you moved over to this organization? You're again demonstrating that you've conducted research. I know a lot of people freak out about this, like, I don't want to come off as a stalker, but trust me, it's way better to look like a stalker than somebody who hasn't done any research to try to prepare for this interview at all. I wouldn't even call yourself a stalker. I would just call yourself as somebody who's really researched the crap out of a company or interviewer because you want to demonstrate that you really want this job. All right, next up, let's talk about questions for the hiring manager. So the hiring manager is going to have the best understanding of what's expected in this role, what the day-to-day is like, what the key objectives are, as well as the overall team dynamic and the leadership style and management style of this entire department. I have so many job seekers who come to me when they realize that they picked the wrong role for them, meaning the role wasn't exactly what they expected it to be. And I really believe this means that they haven't fully flushed out what are the expectations during this interview process. One of the best questions that you can ask your interviewer is, can you tell me about what you expect this person to accomplish within the first 30, 60, 90 days of onboarding in this position? The reason why that's important is because they can elaborate and paint a picture of what is so important in this particular role to make sure that you're on the same page and you have the right understanding. Another really great question to ask is understanding how you're measured. What are your KPIs for this role? Again, when you have understanding of all of this, it will help you make a more informed decision on whether or not this is the right fit for you, and it'll paint a clearer picture of what's truly expected beyond just the job description that you've read. All right, next up, let's talk about what to ask a peer or colleague or coworker who you're not reporting to, but you have interactions with. So in these types of questions, I believe it's important to understand the team dynamic and also just understand how long people have been there, how happy they are, what did they see as rooms for improvement, or what it is that they really enjoy about this company and opportunity. Some really great questions to ask in this category might be, can you share how closely you interact with this role and what are your expectations of this person? Another question you can ask is, what are the key qualities that make candidates or employees really successful here? Just by asking questions about the other person's experience or pegging them as an expert is what's going to allow you to build trust and rapport, and it'll also give you an opportunity to assess whether or not you're going to enjoy working with this team on a day-to-day. Let me know in the comments down below, what is the best question you've asked or received during an interview? All right, so we talked a bit about what kind of questions to ask each type of person you're interviewing with. I want to emphasize one last important point, which is what not to ask until you get the offer in hand. And that is, you should never bring up questions about salary, benefits, compensation, working from home, telecommute days, basically any types of requests or demands should be off the table. You don't want it to make it sound like your number one priority is compensation, even if it might be. You really don't have any leverage or bargaining power until you get an offer letter in hand. So for now, really focus on understanding the role, the team, the person that's managing you, as well as the company culture, and really vetting those out during this process so that you can make sure by the time you get the offer, this is something that you truly can see as a fit for you long term. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to be notified when I release next week's video. And until then, I hope that you continue to cultivate your career.